helping Mr. Hill today as his co-pilot. Today discussing some of the safety features that a beginner pilot should be aware of when programming and setting up any RC helicopter. Today's helicopter will be the Nano CPX that we will be discussing the setup and operation of this particular helicopter, but it can be applied to most any RC helicopter depending on your transmitter. If you have a more higher end brand name helicopter, more than likely you have a transmitter you can program and program some of the safety features. But back to the transmitter. Today's transmitter we will be discussing is the DX7S by Spektrum, and in particular we will be discussing the throttle hold feature, which for most people that have the smaller helicopters, they have the manufacturer's transmitter, they get a DX7, DX6, DX8, whatever, and bind it to your transmitter, but don't think about the throttle hold feature, which is important. Now, why is throttle hold important? Larger helicopters in particular turn at a slower RPM, but a much bigger, heavier blade. So most people think a smaller helicopter will not do much damage. On the contrary, smaller helicopters turn at a much higher rate of speed in terms of RPM, so the blades may be smaller, but turning faster. As such, when you're standing directly over the helicopter, you're in the line of fire if that were to launch and come vertically. It could cause a lot of injury. So throttle hold basically, it removes the throttle input control from the ESC and stops the initialization of the motor. So throttle hold, throttle cut, depending on your radio, is very important to your setup. All right, as you'll see on the display here, it shows Nano CPX, and we're in normal mode. Helicopter's ready to go, the timer's there, everything is ready. I'm going to show you inside the settings what to change or adjust in order to have throttle hold feature. So, first I'm going to go into servo setup to show you what I'm controlling here. If you look here, you've got your throttle, aileron, elevator, rudder, your gear, your pitch, and your governor all lined up. And as you move the controls, you can see subsequently that particular control moves on the screen. Okay? What we're looking for is when throttle hold is active, that the throttle input itself, let me turn this way, does not slide once this is active. Right now, throttle hold is on. You can see the very top slider for throttle is not moving. Now that throttle hold is off, you see that slider is now sliding. So, by activating throttle hold, we remove the control input from the ESC to the motor so that it will not start until you're ready. Now, you want to know how to set this up. We're going to show you. If you go on your transmitter, scroll down to throttle cut, and you will see, once you go into that option, you've got some settings here. You can pick the position and the switch that will subsequently control the feature. Now, DX7, DX6, in particular, the older DS6 had a push button throttle cut, but any of the newer radios, 7 and above, will have normally a switch, two-position switch that you can use for throttle hold. Now, for the DX7S, this switch is located on the top right, just in good position for your finger to grasp it, here. The default is position 0, where it says mix, but if you look closely, for position 1, it says hold. This is the position that you will be activating in your radio to remove any throttle input from the ESC to the motor. This is the on position when it's towards you, and this is the off position when it's away from you. So, you want to set this up to position 0%, and the switch, you'll have to scroll through the options, which you will. Scroll down to it. Scroll through and pick what you want to be, inhibit, trainer, or hold. It's on hold, back out. Now, a way that you can tell that it's active, if you go one option from the main menu into throttle curve, if you notice on this radio, at the very top, it shows an N, an I, and an H for normal, inhibit, and hold. All right? Normal mode, is any of your regular flight modes. And as you move the throttle stick, you'll see the slider move to the position based on where your throttle is, from 100% down to 0. However, if you notice under the N on normal, there's a little tick mark directly below the N. So that shows you what mode you're in. When I flip this to hold mode, we hear a chirp, and we see that little tick mark has now moved 2 positions over to the H for hold. I'll do it again. I'll take it off. It'll go back normal. And I'll activate it again to go to hold. Now it's at hold. This is verifying to you that the 2 positions are working and everything is as it should be with your setup. Now, when you first make any changes to your radio, one of the things you're going to want to look for is you want to test. That's anything. Before you actually go out and fly it the way you would normally fly it, you want to test to make sure the feature is performing as expected. So, one way you can do that is by going again to servo setup. Put the throttle hold on, and then slide your throttle transmitter stick and make sure that the throttle slider does not move. If it's not moving, though you're moving the gimbal stick, your controller is set up properly, and now you can test on your aircraft, which is our next step.
That's what I'm going to take it out.
The throttle hold is active. As you can see, the collective moves, but no throttle. Now I'll go normal mode. And now we have throttle response. So, as soon as you land, one of your first things you should do is put your hold on. Before you take off after power up, make sure your hold is on. So, the first thing you do before you fly, the last thing you do when you land, hold. Very handy safety feature to make available to all hobbyists.